Why don't more infant formula companies use organic, grass-fed whole milk instead of skim? Why don't more infant formula companies use the latest breast milk science? Why don't more infant formula companies run their own clinical trials? Why don't more infant formula companies use more of the proteins found in breast milk? Why don't more infant formula companies have their own factories instead of outsourcing their manufacturing? We wondered the same thing. So we made ByHeart, a better formula for formula. Learn more at byheart.com.
Hey, it's Danny Pellegrino from Everything Iconic. Ready to upgrade your style game without blowing your budget? Check out Quince. They've got all the good stuff, shirts and polos, activewear, and fine leather goods, all at 50 to 80% less than other high-end brands. And the best part? They're all about safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing. Get that luxury vibe without the luxury price tag. Hit up quince.com/upgrade for free shipping and 365-day returns on your next order. That's quince.com/upgrade.
Hello and welcome to this. It is the EggChasers Rugby Podcast, the podcast about rugby doesn't take itself or the game too seriously. I'm a very uncomfortable JB doing this introduction, hunched over. I've had to touch the whatever it is, the mixer, and then rush over to my mic.
You're bent double.
Yeah, excuse me. Oh, how are you, Phil?
I'm good, JB. In a far more comfortable, relaxed position than you were, although you're making yourself comfortable on the chaise longue.
There we go. Fine. How's your weekend been?
Good. I've been doing a lot of childcare this weekend for the primary reason that Claire did an Ironman today.
Oh, did she?
She did.
Oh, wow.
70.3 Ironman, so a half Ironman.
Well,
but
that'd be an Iron Woman, wouldn't it?
Half Iron Woman. Still a very, very impressive performance. Something like a 2K, I think, swim, but then just 90K on the bike and a half marathon to finish it off.
Good Lord.
So yeah, been dealing with the kids, although having fun with them. I went to the athletics in Manchester yesterday.
Oh yeah?
Which was really good fun.
Where was that? By City?
Yeah, the Etihad campus regional arena.
It's nice though, isn't it?
It was really good fun.
Yeah, it's good. So in case you're wondering, you're listening to EggChasers Rugby Podcast, a podcast about rugby. There is no Tim, although he'll be dialing in later from South Africa.
He will, from Safari, I think he's doing.
Yeah, so we've got no one to read emails, although what would we be reading? All of Tim's lucrative offers from South Africa.
All of his hookups. In South Africa.
Goodness me.
Five-star safaris, wining and dining.
I think that's what it is. Five-star safari.
Yeah. I'm not. That's not a joke. That's literally
it's not a joke.
What he is doing.
So, if you want to offer Tim any more free stuff, contact eggchasers@gmail.com. You can find me on LinkedIn or at Beardmore & Co. Independent Financial Advisors. And I don't know if you can find Phil. You can email contact@eggchasers@gmail.com, and that'll be that. So yeah, if you're wondering where Tim is, he'll join us shortly. But he's out there, and fair play, he's putting in some bloody hard graft, filming YouTube content during Craven week, which is bloody cool.
Very cool. We will get a full download from him because we've not spoken to him. We've heard little snippets on WhatsApp. I'm very much looking forward to hearing how his scouting was going, because the last scouting trip, albeit to the Under-20s World Cup in Manchester about 8 years ago,
where he discovered every single player:
Andrew Porter, Geordie Barrett, Jacob Stockdale,
and there's one other that he discovered alone.
There's probably lots of other.
Harry Malander.
Harry Malander.
Yeah.
Who I looked up Harry Malander the other day.
Oh, I'll do one better than that, but carry on.
Just to see, because he did the combine or the international player pathway, and as far as I can tell, he was unsuccessful. There was no reported news that I could find on him making a team. I can report some news on him.
Okay. Because I was with him on Friday night.
With Harry Malander?
I was with Harry Malander on Friday night.
I shouldn't have looked up Harry Malander. I should have just asked you, of course.
Yeah, so with Beardmore & Co, Independent Financial Advisors, dashing around the country seeing clients, and I went to the fine town of Leamington Spa.
Very nice.
I was having a few beers, and who would walk past? Harry Malander.
Nice.
It's like, Harry. And luckily the guy that I was with knows him very well. So he came over for a quick chat, and we were talking about how he was signed by Philadelphia. He's been let go by Philadelphia, and he might be signing for the Colts, but he might be going back to Philadelphia, or depending when the spot opens up on the team. And because he's the international player, he does get an extra spot.
Yes.
So far from over.
That's positive. That is, you're kind of breaking this news now, because that is far more news than I was able to garnish only a few days ago.
And if he doesn't do that, he's got a job lined up in finance.
Oh, fantastic!
Actually,
with Bimmer, and Bimmer.
No, I won't tell you who's we're going to work for in finance. Not that the competition or whatnot. I just don't know if he wants anyone to know.
Yeah. Sensible.
Yeah, so we will leave. I mean, I don't know if he wants anyone to know he might be going to the Colts. I've got no idea.
Well, I do have a bone to pick with you.
Oh, God.
Specifically about Friday night, because the last few years I've managed to get away without a Premier Sports subscription, because I kind of watch Ulster home games on BBC. I have managed to watch any important games, semi-finals and finals, either in the pub or at your house, because you've had a Premier Sports subscription for the past
5 years.
5 years.
£100 a game is what it costs me now.
£15 a month for 5 years. You watch maybe 2 games a season.
If that.
So I've managed to get away with it. I text you on Friday to say, JB, you watching the game? And you said, no, you were off doing
stuff.
Beardmore networking
Yep.
with player agents. And so I had to subscribe to Premier Sports so I could watch the game.
But so sorry about
that. Well, I'm kind of... So I had to watch it, my beloved Bordeaux, and because I was expecting it to be a good game. It was one hell of a game, but not for my beloved Bordeaux. Oh, my God.
Well, let's just hold on that for a second. Did you see England play today?
I was at a barbecue, so it was on in the background, saw the goals, didn't really watch the game.
I was going to say, is there anything from the England game which you can take and translate for rugby? Just as in like a team dynamic.
So, I've been watching quite a bit of the Euros. I've quite enjoyed it, apart from the England games. Although I did enjoy that brief kind of 2-3 minute window either side of full time today. I'm not qualified to say much about football, although a lot of people who I talk regularly with follow it very, very closely. And all the complaints from an English perspective are about Southgate and how he's too conservative, too regimented, unwilling to change his kind of predetermined game plan. Now, I'm trying to think who got that criticism. I think Lancaster got that criticism when he was at England.
Yeah, 100% he did, because you stuck with the same players all the way through.
Same players.
Trying to get those 50 caps.
Yeah.
When the outcome becomes the... What's the saying?
It's Goodhart's law. When the...
measure becomes the...
Yeah, when a measure becomes a target, it's no longer useful at either.
Yeah. So he's looking for 50 caps per player. And then, so there was that.
Yes.
So the two things that I thought about this game was that it's very strange to watch a team with so much talent not impose themselves. They were basically passengers for the entire thing. Whatever Slovenia wanted to do, they did.
Slovakia,
sorry.
Slovenia was last week. Yeah, which that statement is entirely true in both games.
Yes, fine, yeah. But the other one, which I really enjoyed, and this is very pertinent to rugby, was how cool it is to watch big players play terribly, but come up with the goods in incredible situations.
The 2 goals were pretty cool.
They were, weren't they?
You couldn't throw the whole of the rest of the 120 minutes in the bin and just keep those 2 goals.
I mean, that is like the rugby equivalent, isn't it, of like the Johnny Wilkinson drop goal. Like having to do the thing immediately and it come off, and the incredible pressure at that exact time.
So I was thinking about that exact principle for another reason this weekend, which was while I was at the Athletics.
Okay.
So let me explain. So I caught up on the US trials, which were last week. In the US trials, in the semi-finals, 12 athletes ran sub-10 in the semi-finals.
Good God. How many?
12.
Oh my word. Okay.
In the English trials, which I was at, across the 9 races, no one ran faster than 10.19. One man ran faster than 10.2 seconds.
Oh my God.
Now that's under pressure. So that Louis Hinchcliffe, who is training with Carl Lewis. Carl Lewis was in the stadium yesterday, which was pretty cool.
That is cool.
So he has run a couple of sub-10s this year, but with no pressure on him. When the pressure's on, admittedly in not great conditions in Manchester yesterday, he and others couldn't do any better than 10.2. Whereas 12 American athletes, including Noah Lyles, who just every time looked absolutely phenomenal.
When we say trials, is that because they don't have the Olympic team ready for the Olympics in a month?
This is to get on the Olympic team.
Wow, that's really close. I thought it'd be a little bit further out.
No, because you've got to do it quite close because of form, injury, timing, the whole thing. Like they all build their training up to this point, and then the point in a month's time. So if you mistime your training, it's as good as like not being trained.
Yeah,
so you've got to.
Right.
It's a very interesting thing.
Oh, hang on, I think we've got Tim. Tim. Let's just have a look.
Tim. Hello,
Tim.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you doing?
Oh, very well, very well. So, just to get you up to speed, Tim, we've spoke about the England versus Slovenia game and the Slovakia game and Slovenia. They were basically the same game.
Yeah,
and also the US Olympic sprint trials.
Yes, and the British sprint trials and Claire's Ironman.
Yeah, so you really
wonderful.
Yeah. How's things with you?
All right, mate. I'm okay. I'm gonna actually. I need to keep my voice down a little bit because I'm in one of those like safari tent things. I mean, you say tent. I'm in a double bed, and I've got my own balcony, and it's got an indoor and an outdoor shower. So tent is sort of under egg in the pudding. But
so I went to a very smart safari. I've done safari twice, and I just don't understand the dynamics. They're like, yeah, just go out on the balcony. It's like, are you sure that I won't get eaten? What is to stop me getting eaten?
I know. As the guy, so I got here early this afternoon. As the guy, because someone walks you to your tent when it's dark, and then you dial 1,000 if you want someone to come and get you to go back to the main building. The guy just very very casually said to me as he left me to walk the final 30 meters up to my tent, he just said, "Oh look, yeah, hyena tracks. They've been here pretty recently, and they just walked through. Anyway, night."
Yeah, sleep well. Luckily we were in like a sort of cabin thing which you could lock. It's like a log cabin, so it could just be locked, and it was locked. It was really locked.
You checked it 10 times throughout the night.
Oh yeah, I don't mess around with hyenas.
So I did safari a few years ago in Kruger, and a few like self-drive, but like 5 nights in Kruger, and I don't know what I was expecting, but it was so much better than I expected. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I did the same. It was quite incredible. Talking about incredible, why don't we come back to some South Africa chat later, see what Tim's been up to?
Yes.
How about the top 14 final?
Not label that.
Yes.
Oh, man. Insane.
So did you get to watch it on Supersport, Tim?
No, I didn't. I'd watched it back afterwards.
Ah.
So we watched it on a phone.
You watched it on a phone
after seeing Harry Mander over a couple of bottles of rosé.
Very nice.
And
what's he doing? So nothing happened with the NFL dream then?
Well, if you download the podcast, you'll find out all about it.
You didn't say you talked about that, otherwise I wouldn't have asked.
Yeah. We've already done that. So have a listen to that. But yeah, we think he might play NFL this year or work for a financial services firm.
One of
those two. They're very similar. So I'm going to focus on Bordeaux for a second rather than Toulouse.
Okay.
Do you see this as Bordeaux doing a Saracens, which is you've got to be in a final and lose it before you can get better and win the final? Or do you see it as absolutely crushing?
It's hard to know right now because we don't see how they react. And there's 2 ways this can go. So this could be the Saracens route, where they build, although Saracens never quite got crushed like this.
No.
Not many teams have. Or it could be the Bristol route from a few years ago where they were 28-0 up against Harlequins in the semi-final. They were the best team in the league that year, and they blew it, and they fell apart for 2 years. And it's only now, 2 years after that point, that they've started to recover. Yes. Yeah. So it's hard to know. I hope it's the Saracens route, but looking at so for the last 3-4 tries, the French TV executives pan to Luku every time, and he just looked more and more desolate and
he looked devastated.
despaired.
He's had a brilliant season. He's been awesome.
He's such a good player, but he was the first time he looked like he was head in the hands, about to cry, and it just got worse and worse after every one of those last 3-4 tries got run in.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the identity of Bordeaux is going to lie with its French players because it's a French team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of players they have, the biggest problem they have is where they had a France on France matchup, they are clearly second best in every single department. So, how do those boys rally? Because they're going to be the core of the team for a long time. Yeah, they can replace some forwards. They can get some big South Africans in, I suppose. They can do something. But they've spent a lot of money on those lads. And across the board, they are basically second best in every single position.
The one I would... so I generally agree with that. The one I would argue is Penaud's not really second best to anyone. But in a game like this, you didn't get to see him.
But he also wasn't playing against a Frenchman.
He's playing against Kinghorn.
Yeah, Kinghorn and Juan Cruz Malia. So, yeah, I mean, and he didn't even have a good game. But like, even someone like Barros looks like there.
He's superb.
I mean, he is, isn't he? But he's just not Ramos.
He does different things. I think he's a better runner than Ramos, but
no one's better than Ramos, I don't think. I mean, yes, he's undoubtedly a better runner.
He's a better runner.
He's just not better than him.
He's not, different.
Luku's an amazing player, but you know who plays on the other side, don't you?
Yeah.
You know, Jalibert is incredible. However,
but Jalibert not really fit. Didn't look fit. Didn't play particularly well.
I mean, they've got two French hookers who are better than the Bordeaux hooker.
Yeah.
Oh my God! And just to sort of put a cherry on top, I think that final try is going to be an iconic try for the ages. I think that is up there with the Carlos Spencer try against Canterbury,
where he runs it into the corner.
Yeah, I think it's right up there as a way to end the game because I don't know how Malvaca got back on the field. It must have been for a front rower, but they have two hookers on, and the commentator says something like, well, they'll kick it out. And it goes to Malvaca and the post goes, no, I don't think we will. We absolutely will not be kicking this ball out. And just a score like that, what a way to win a final or finish. I mean, it's already won, actually. But what a way to close it out. Don't kick it into the crowd. Score a try in the corner.
You rarely see such a beatdown that's so entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
And from someone who wanted Bordeaux to win, I applauded that last try. There was several tries. I applauded the Kinghorn try, the Capriotso try, the second Dupont try was magnificent.
Good Lord.
By the way, Kinghorn, like to sign at what, Christmas?
Yep.
January?
He hasn't
lost a game. He has not lost a game.
Has he not?
He's won every single match he's played.
Good God.
Wow.
Silent Christmas
14 appearances, 14 wins for Kinghorn, I think, including 2 big finals.
Yeah, Silent Christmas, win 2 finals. I do think about Kinghorn. Now, I'm not very educated on Scottish players, so I'll put my hands up. I didn't realise he was that good, to be honest. And maybe that's because he played in a Scottish team, in the URC. I don't get the exposure to him. He's not playing big games. But he's good enough for Toulouse.
I've always quite liked Kinghorn.
Yeah, I've known he's good.
Because he can play multiple positions.
Yeah.
And this was wing, which would probably be his third position.
Yep.
I would. Yes, traditionally it has been, but I think the point was he was being used by Gregor Townsend as a 10 a lot, and I think he's much better at wing or more so fullback.
Yeah. Fullback would be primary position.
Well, the answer is I don't know what he's good at because I don't really know him that well as a player in Scotland. But from what I've seen of him, I've seen him 4 or 5 times now for Toulouse. He's a fine player.
And just Jack Willis has absolutely dominated.
Christ.
What a year he's had.
So that's 2 French titles now, and also a European Cup.
Champions Cup, yeah.
And in this
he's won 3 trophies since moving to Toulouse.
Yeah,
It's so
the biggest
awesome.
ones as well. Not like little ones. Not Premiership Cup. Actual real trophies. So it's incredible. Like his carrying. Bearing in mind he's got 7 on his back, his carrying was absolutely dominant. Every
Some
time
of the
he got
shots
the
he put in as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks so Toulousian, it's frightening. Like that as if he was born to play top
They love
14
him.
rugby.
They love him there. Have you seen all the photos of the crowd surfing?
I haven't actually.
Oh, it's awesome. So, it's only Toulouse would do this. They brought the ski masks in, although we did, as we've covered on a previous podcast, it came in from ice hockey.
Or
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or NBA.
NBA it was.
NBA, yeah, it came in from NBA. But Toulouse brought it into rugby, and the Toulouse fans are insane, and the players are just getting on it, firing champagne in the press conference. They all went in with these giant, I don't know what size, Jeroboam, Magnum, whatever it is. They went in with a bunch of those into the press conference and just showered everyone.
Well,
and
didn't
everything.
Malvaca sign a
Champagne.
contract extension?
While smoking a cigar with the owner.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I voted for Brexit is so we could smoke indoors again. But it looks like I was wrong because they can do it in France. That is a workplace violation. No one cares.
And then they had all the fans there, and the players obviously half cut after celebrating all night. The players just on this stage just started jumping backwards into the crowd and getting like passed around the crowd.
Now, I am so against this if I was an owner of a rugby team. Not because I'm against crowd surfing, but they're big men. I mean, the liability for the crowd. And also, I'm not convinced the crowd want to catch. Oh, I don't know.
Meafu.
In he comes. No. I mean, they'll just part.
Yeah.
Would you wait there?
Aldegheri's lining up. No.
Just think about what would be likely to happen if you were there. And, like what was it? Like game theory, everyone else moves. And you're just underneath
Just
trying to catch him. You've got to move.
So where does this Toulouse team rank in the great club teams? Because the Crusaders the Crusaders are one of the great club teams. The Bulls, when Bakis Bota and Victor Matfield were second rows and they won the Super Rugby Championships.
They were very good.
They were a very good team. What are the other all-time great club teams?
Without doubt.
Tigers, yeah.
Tigers early 2000s.
Toulon.
When Wasps did the double.
Yeah,
Toulon 3 back-to-back.
And the Saracens winning 3 in 5 years or whatever it was.
Yeah. Those would be the best ones.
And the Leinster team that won multiple times.
Did they go 2 or 3 times? So from Northampton onwards, was it not?
From Leicester onwards, I think. Was it 2009?
No, hang on. Leicester. Was that not Munster?
No, so they beat... So it was when... Johnny Sexton, it was when Tuilagi versus Shane Horgan on the wing. I'm sure that was 2009.
Alassana.
Yes.
So I'm thinking of... Oh, God, that's a long time ago. Because it was Neil Back that popped the ball in. So he wasn't playing
that's about
Crikey.
6 years before then.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Because there's no way that he was still playing. Or maybe there was.
No, not
Because
then.
Neil Back was old.
If this Toulouse team go and win another Champions Cup,
which
then
is very likely.
Then they are the greatest.
Yeah.
Two domestic titles and Champions Cup titles.
I think the difference between these guys and Toulon is that these guys seem to be legitimately well coached, whereas Toulon were just a bulldozer. They played very conservative.
Well, I'd say the players coach themselves. Yeah, I mean, Toulouse play a brand of rugby which is incredible to watch.
And it's that mix.
But I'm thinking, did Toulon, when they were winning the Champions Cup, did they win the top 14 as well? I don't think they did. I'm pretty sure Castra beat them in a final.
I don't know that.
And they might have. Anyway, being able to do both. Bearing in mind all the chats we've had about people picking competitions to win and which ones not to.
Scum. Filth. Yeah, to me, the reason I like them is more the mix. It's the competitions that they play in. So unlike Leinster, they are in the hardest competition. Unlike Toulon, they play a brand of rugby which is easy on the eye. I mean, they are a very well-oiled machine. They don't just rely on the biggest names on the planet. I mean, to sort of drive this home, their biggest names are mostly homegrown. They've been there for a long time. I mean, okay, Dupont came from somewhere when he was 20. Cast when he was 20 or something. But he has developed in Toulouse. You would never say he's not a Toulouse player. And Entamac, Ramos, some of the front row boys. Marchand. I mean, there's
Cyril Bay.
What's the 8 called?
Francois Croix or Roumat.
I don't know about Crot and Jalonche.
Jalonche came from somewhere else. Definitely. Somewhere
anyway,
else,
your point stands. Although they are the club that every player in France would like to move to.
Francois Croix was born in Toulouse.
Was he?
And played only exclusively for Toulouse.
Yeah.
Can I just flag up very selfishly? And if you haven't seen it, like honestly, I think you two would love it because it gets into some proper rugby nausea areas. But on FR UK, the channel that me and Joe Worsley have started, a long extended interview with Jack Willis, who goes into specifics on how Toulouse train in order to play the way they play.
Oh, awesome.
Interesting.
Why don't you give us a little teaser of what he might be saying?
Well, he talks about the rules that they employ in training, about, like certain amount of time that they restrict them where they're allowed to have the ball. And basically every Toulouse player knows instinctively if only one person tackles the man with the ball, the offload is on. And Jack Willis said that they will ramp up the speed that they train at to a level that is completely unattainable and unachievable.
Wow.
So that everything, when they then go actually into matches, feels like it's slowed down. And that just doesn't that sound like what you see when you see Toulouse play?
Well, not only that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Bordeaux-Toulouse game, because we spoke about the players in general, but the actual game, I would say the first 20 was relatively competitive. Where Toulouse absolutely won this, hands down, was that second 20. And what you're saying, Tim, rings true, because Bordeaux looked like they were shell-shocked. They couldn't keep up with Toulouse.
Yeah, it was
Random ragged.
It was those two tries, the Malvaca try out wide, and then 3 minutes later, the Dupont's second try, that
good goal.
Training ground move. It's a training ground move that was executed perfectly, but then still needs that Dupont magic.
Yeah.
That chip and chase.
And actually, the second half was, broadly speaking, the same. Bordeaux composed themselves, came out, and then last 20 or last 15 got smashed.
It really was the last 20, last 15. So the tries were 64, 67, 70, 74, 79 and 82. 6 tries in the last 16 minutes.
And that's a fitness thing, isn't it?
That's just cruel.
There's all sorts going on there. It's like they've crushed their spirit, they've crushed their fitness, they've just crushed everything about them. And also that, Bordeaux, if they're going to spend some more money, and I don't know how much more money there is to spend because it looks like an expensive team as it is, they need to get bigger forwards. They need to get over the gain line, because we saw this against Harlequins. They didn't have the physicality for Harlequins, let alone to lose. When they win by playing incredible running rugby. Isn't going to be enough.
I tend to agree. And you're going to need another couple of big props. Certainly another alternative tight headlock. And then someone who can carry harder. Like Tatafu in the season has been good from what I've seen of him. In this game, he didn't really do anything.
He was such a focal point. He had nowhere to... I mean, he's a focal point against an incredible back row. Mm-hmm. So where's he going to go? He need him and a load of mates.
A load of them.
A lot of mates to go forward. I mean, Leinster have got a lot of mates that like to go forward, and they got absolutely dispatched.
Well, the Leinster was a last. It wasn't really a dispatch. It wasn't quite 59-3.
No, it wasn't like that. But even with their power up front, it still wasn't enough.
I think this game shows probably how well Leinster did, because
maybe
Toulouse, they only really have to turn it on a few times a season. They can legitimately beat teams with their second team. They're that good. But when they turned it on, Leinster were within a hair's breadth of keeping up with them.
A slightly better drop goal of beating them.
Yeah, Bordeaux cannot say that. Bordeaux, when Toulouse turned it on, Bordeaux were a million miles away from it.
So whose pack do you reckon would be up to the job to give Toulouse a hiding?
South Africa's?
I was going to say the Sharks. I mean, if the Sharks actually bothered,
if they bothered actually playing, the difference with the Sharks is, as Phil just identified, Toulouse can win with their second team. Sharks, they have their five box World Cup winning box in the starting team, and they're good. The second choice for these teams is not good.
No, but that's the only team that I can think of. The only team I can think of is like the 13th place team in the ORC, might be able to do the job if they bothered
if
training.
they bothered, yeah.
But of
Bothered
course,
turn up.
if they're playing far away, the South Africans might just not show up. Might just bin it. So there's certainly no one in the Premiership that I can think of which would give them a run. And I don't
Not
think there's
these
anyone.
days.
Special team.
Exeter in the day could and did.
Did
3-4 years ago. Saracens in their day could have done, but no one in the Premiership right now gets even close to them.
I love watching again. Just to touch on it, I just love watching Jack Willis lifting those trophies. It's just it almost. I feel bad that he can't play for England, but I'm so happy having been stuck in this position that he's just absolutely dominating.
Yeah, it is. It really is fantastic to see him.
Yeah, agreed. I wonder if it'll be an exceptional enough circumstance to be that good. Probably not.
I don't think so, I'm
probably
afraid.
not, unfortunately.
By the way, why? But would you even want England at this point? Would you not want your season just to finish now and take some time off and go and win another top 14 and then another European Cup?
I think I think if I were Jack Willis, which sadly I'm not, I would want to do 2 more years and then come back for a shot at the World Cup.
Yeah, maybe. But would you really? I mean, let's just think about
Would
this.
you want to leave Toulouse and go where, Phil?
Yeah, this is it.
Leave Toulouse and go to.
2 questions. Where would you go? And
Bath.
who's going to afford you?
Bath.
Yeah,
Bath and Bath.
Yeah, I think Bath
'Cause
would be...
at that stage you can be
Still not Toulouse, though, is it?
It's not, but one season at Bath, win the Premiership with Bath, win the World Cup with England,
And Bath,
and then back to Toulouse.
And Bath might be stupid enough to give you like the 1 year deal or a loan.
Bath 100% would do.
Yeah, they would. They go, yeah, we'll loan you. Like, how much? And we'll make you the marquee.
The best thing is if you start those negotiations now, in 2 years' time, they could have jettisoned enough players to be able to afford me.
Yeah. So I'm going to make a prediction, right? The player who is most important for Jack Willis playing for England is Tom Willis. So I don't think Jack Willis would like to be in a family where Tom is playing for England with all the stories and Jack isn't. So I think he's going to get I think that he might get FOMO. If Tom starts
there's
playing...
a little bit of me really wishes it was still, although I totally disagreed with the 3-year residency, I kind of wish it still was, so that we could put that to the test.
Yeah, he's going to play for France. Do you know, that would be the thing which would force England's hand.
If he's going to play for France.
I mean,
Or how much would you love to see him playing for France? Just for the spectacle of it.
Hang on. So
Yeah,
he's been there. Has he been there a year?
You can't do it by residency, can you? As in, you can't switch. You can only switch.
No, he's already played for England. Had he not played for England, he could have done it after 5 years.
After 5 years now.
But
But
you
you
can play for England and play for France.
Uh,
No, you can only switch back to or switch to something where you have grandparentage
Correct.
at the very least.
Oh, but you can't do it for
you can't
residency
switch
now.
back. You can't switch
Got it.
due to residency.
Oh, what a shame. Oh, that is a shame.
Do you know someone who is, in about 18 months' time, eligible to switch?
Yes, I do. Is it Benhard Jansi van Rensburg?
He's probably, similar time to that. Someone else I was thinking, who was fairly famously left out of a very, very recent squad.
Zach Mercer.
No.
He's eligible to play for New Zealand. That's the only other country he can play for.
Oh, God. All right, okay.
But someone the other way.
Hoskins Satutu.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I saw this.
So Hoskins Satutu, you would be eligible for, I think it's Fiji, and also England
Yeah.
in 18 months'
And
time.
I think Razor just was like talking to his PA on the phone and said Satutu, and she wrote Satiti, and that's how he ended up in the squad.
Close enough.
Yeah. And I don't know, has FRTV spoke about another English guy moving throughout France? Kieran Brooks has gone to Perpignan. I only know this.
No, but that's honestly, JB, that would be a club. In fact, you used to have Perpignan socks and shorts, didn't you?
Oh, did I?
I can't remember.
Maybe I did have
But
Perpignan socks.
that's a cool club to support. Their fans are nuts.
It is a cool club. And it's got that massive Tuolangi guy too. And I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. Pasolo.
Solo. Yeah.
They just missed out on top 6 as well. They're doing well.
So I've got upstairs the Barbarians training top from Kieran Brooks. This will surprise nobody. He's a massive man.
Yeah.
He is a
Big shirt.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's an absolute.
I interviewed him.
enormous-
I chatted to him on the EggChasers
It's an absolute.
I interviewed him.
enormous-
I chatted to him on the EggChasers YouTube channel at the World Cup.
Oh, yeah, you did,
was.
didn't you?
He'd had loads of beers, and it was after the England game, and he was just strolling around like a punter on the street. And I saw from a distance. I went, that is the shape of a prop. If ever I've seen one. Got a bit closer. Kieran Brooks.
Mm.
Awesome.
He's a boy. He's a top boy.
Yeah, good lad all round.
And what's his claim to fame?
Mum's not an author.
He used to play at Filed.
I played against him.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I played against him in the cup.
Nice. He appeared on an episode of Coronation Street,
Coronation
getting
Street,
pushed
yes.
off the wall, eating fish chips.
Was it Gail? What's the name that pushed him?
Yeah, I think Gail Platt might have.
Is
pushed him.
Gail Platt? Yeah, Gail. Yeah,
Ridiculous.
isn't it? Right. So,
Oh, by the way, I have the. Sorry, I just while we're on that, Nick Kennedy,
Mum's an
Mum's an
author.
author.
Luke Narroway,
Dad's a butcher.
Okay.
Johnny May.
Mum's a
Mum taught
school teacher.
Ed Sheeran guitar.
Yeah, that's right.
Or piano, one of the two. Yeah. Well, the ultimate.
Whoa,
one,
no.
and
The ultimate one is the one from last week. Say his name.
Oh, bollocks. What is
Oh
it?
yeah. Sasha
barrel-
Feinberg.
Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great grandfather's friends with Freud.
With Bertrand Russell.
Bertrand Russell.
His grandfather was best mates and wrote books with Bertrand Russell.
Yeah.
No, the ultimate one, which I did actually know, but
Jack Willis' sister's midwife.
Yes.
oh yeah, Jack Willis, sisters and midwife, and Tom Willis, obviously. But the ultimate, which I spent some time this week, the other day, in fact, with the gentleman that I'm referring to, and I did know this story, but Kyle Stain.
Yes.
God,
Dad, Rory, thoroughly nice guy, and I spent lots of time with him. Anyway, so Kyle Stain, Dad was Nelson Mandela's head of security.
Oh my God! Do you know?
Wow.
I was just about to say a mercenary as a joke because he's South African. All South Africans are mercenaries, but that's pretty close, isn't it? That's bloody amazing.
That is cool.
Wow! I wonder what his background was. Must be military.
He was a policeman. Then he got moved on to some special unit, and then he was also, and then he was Nelson Mandela's chief of security. And at the 1995 Rugby World Cup, he was the All Black chief of security, and the All Blacks blamed him for the fact they got food poisoning.
The illness. Yeah.
Good God, that's amazing.
He's head of
He
security.
goes around the world doing public speaking and stuff. He's pretty spectacular bloke.
Awesome.
That is very, very cool. It reminds me of Johan Ackerman telling me, and tells everyone, just not me.
I saw Johan Ackerman this week.
Did you?
You've seen everyone.
Good God, we have been busy. It reminds me of when he's explaining what he did before rugby, which was train firearms trainer for the South African squat team in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. As if this guy needs to be any more dangerous than he already is.
I know.
And Kyle Stain he's his mother is Scottish, isn't she? He's a lineage rather than residency Scot.
Yes, yeah, he's got a British passport. Yeah,
like Maitland as well was lineage rather than like Duan van der Merwe. None of his family have seen Scotland for 500 years
At least.
But Stain is legit.
Oh, that's a great...
and controversial statement maybe, but Kyle Stain better than Duan van der Merwe.
No.
Maybe better all round. He's not got. Almost no one on planet Earth has got the top end finishing that Duan has.
No,
But
the
maybe-
highlight reel. Highlight reel. I agree. Duan van der Merwe's got an unbelievable highlight reel, but Kyle Stain. I'm going to say it now, and it's might be slightly swayed by the fact I was spending time with his dad this week. But Kyle Stain will tour with the Lions.
Do you know, because
Next
you've been
year.
spending time with his family, I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm going to let you have this. But in the normal circumstances, had you not been speaking to his family, I would strongly disagree with this. But I'll let you have it.
He's been awesome. Captain Glasgow to the URC.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's no joke.
No mean feat.
Shall we turn our attention to the tests which are about to occur?
Yeah, was there anything happen this week? What did happen? There was Japan like Japan 15 got beat by the Maori All Blacks.
Fine, whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, nothing's happened this week.
Yeah, this week's awesome though, isn't it? This weekend's going to be amazing. Well, next weekend as we record this.
And we briefly touched on them last week, but there's some other cool games beyond the kind of the normal game. So just some of the kind of tier 2 tours. Samoa host Italy.
Nice.
In Napier. Georgia host Fiji in Georgia.
Very nice.
United States host Romania.
Okay.
In Romania. Another tier 2 one. Australia host Wales in Sydney.
Well played.
Chile host Hong Kong, which will be pretty cool. And Scotland travel to Canada. So
tell you what, that is a sad game, Wales versus Australia. It is a sad game. Fighting for relevance.
It's going to be a low ebb for one of them, isn't it?
Yeah, things for one team, probably things can only go up from here. Maybe for one of them, things are going to continue going downhill.
I've got a feeling it's going to be Australia that will feel better about this, because last time these two teams met, it was a record win for Wales. I mean, it was one of the finest.
In the World Cup,
yeah, it's one of the finest Wales wins for a long time, and that was the last incarnation of Wales before everyone retired and abandoned them. And now they've got this just set of kids, substandard kids. And
yeah, I take no pleasure in this as well, because I remember I was at the World Cup at that game in Lyon. It was, and I remember I was like, oh, well done Wales. That was actually a really good performance. But also, it just felt sad watching Australia like that. And I would have felt the same if it was the reverse. Just feels sad. Like we don't have enough good teams to be able to laugh at the demise of one of the traditional rugby powerhouses.
I mean, maybe it's hard to know. Yes, you're absolutely right. You could look at it another way, which is the top teams are so good now. They are just so divorced from everyone else. And the chasing pack, I mean, it might not be a bad thing to have a couple of bridging teams. Wales, Australia, Fiji probably too good for that, but Italy.
Japan.
I mean,
Georgia.
It's not bad I mean, it used to be so stratified. You had people that could play and people that couldn't. And now you've got a whole range of teams. So I think in a way it's not quite as grim as you make out, but it would be nice to see Australia be better. I think the danger is that the decline is terminal. So rather than everyone's just finding their level and there's more teams and whatnot, the Australian situation seems, well, and the Welsh situation, but I'm just going to focus on Australia for now, does seem very, very desperate because they've lost two of their best players to NRL.
In Marky Mark and Carter Gordon.
Yeah. There just doesn't seem to be much hope, really.
Yeah, it feels like it's wipe the slate clean, set up new systems, structures, whatever's needed, and just accept the fact it's going to be a dreadful decade.
But the bit that Australia has that probably Wales maybe don't have, they have no shortage of like natural athletic ability coming through.
Yes, that is true.
But it's then how much of them can they actually? How much of that huge pipeline of athletic ability can they steer into Union? Get playing it regularly, or how much of it they lose to AFL and NRL?
Well, I guess if you look at it like that, the number one ingredient missing from Australian Rugby Union is money. So if they have money, they have access to all sorts of NRL talent, all sorts of Polynesian talent, all sorts of people that are dual registered or dual nationals with New Zealand. I mean, the area for rugby is pretty rich
for all forms of the codes.
Yeah, I mean, even the AFL.
Yeah. Well, Izzy Folau played a bit of
one of the greats, if not the greatest fullback.
I will just put one little tiny caveat there. With every year that goes by, it gets a little removed from the grandparentage in. Like currently and traditionally, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, Scotland. Well, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. That'll always be the case, but particularly Australia always had their pick of a ton of people from the UK. But those if the grandparent rule is what it is, another 10, 15, 20 years, and that will be much, much less than it was.
As in, I don't know, because there's a lot of people that still move to Australia.
Well, there's a lot of people that move, but not in the quantities they did 80 years ago.
Yeah, fair. But I don't know. I just think the only thing that they're missing is, well, cash. Actually, they're missing loads of things. But I guess the point stands that they've got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
And if they
Yeah,
start winning, people
definitely
will
have.
come back. Whereas Wales, they don't have the talent. And they don't have the money, and they don't have the structure, and they don't have the clubs. The clubs have been garbage for a decade now. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously.
They need structural change.
Yeah. So
They
anyway,
need, without wanting to use one word at the minute, particularly election week, they need reform.
oh, they do need reform. They do.
So,
I mean, you might argue many people need reform. Who knows?
so Australia, Wales, one team can potentially stop their terminal decline. One team are just going to keep sliding into the abyss.
Yep.
Find out who on Saturday.
Can't wait. What a storyline.
The other games then. So we'll go. We've got Tim. Are you at this game? Are you in Pretoria for South Africa, Ireland?
I'm in Pretoria for South Africa, Ireland.
Looking forward to it.
Fantastic.
I cannot wait. Cannot wait. It's going to be awesome.
So, rather than tell you what you think, tell me what you think, Tim. Why don't you give us a flavour of what the South African press think? Because you're in amongst it.
I think they want this one badly. Just one bit of news that got announced today is that SuperSport have come to an arrangement with the South African version of the BBC to show this match free to air, which is massive in South Africa because a huge number of people do not have access to SuperSport, a premium channel. I mean, it's got all the rugby on there. I was watching Under-20s World Cup. I was watching schools rugby on it. I was watching that it has Six Nations when it's on. It has all the rugby, so it's awesome that it's all in one place. But it is out of the reach of many, many millions of people in South Africa, just a pure cost. But this game is deemed so important and of such interest that they're putting it completely free to air. And South Africa, you can tell they really want this because whilst they are world champions, the slight blemish is that Ireland beat them, and Ireland have beaten them every time since 2016, and Ireland have beaten them 8 times out of the last 12. And I think South Africa want to make a point, and I've just got a funny feeling, and I think the sense is that it's I think there's a lot of respect, like Ireland are going to be tough, but I wonder if it's actually going to be more like South Africa v New Zealand at Twickenham, and Ireland could be not quite ready for what they're about to get.
That is exactly what I think. I think they'll be downplaying it, but when Ireland land, they're going to get an absolute hiding.
So I can see exactly the narrative that you've both just described there. I just think Ireland, particularly under Farrell, I do think they're too good. As in, too good for that hammering to happen. So as in, I think this is going to be a very close arm wrestle.
But we have seen
with a South Africa win.
But we have seen Farrell's team get hammered before, haven't we? We've seen them go to New Zealand and really get a pasting, then actually turn it around.
In the first test.
Yeah.
But
then they turned it around.
They did. And won a historic series.
So the difference for me, in the national psyches at least, is that obviously South Africa have won a World Cup, but it also feels that they are flooded with young up-and-coming talent. It's like they are ready to turn this team over. No, in fact, the team is ready to turn itself over. It's the coaches keeping all the old guard in until they're ready to go. That's a hell of a privileged place. Whereas
it's tough balance, though.
Yeah.
It's a very tough balance to strike, and they've got it right before. Rassie and Ninaba, now obviously Ninaba not there, but can they do it again? Or are they going to
Great phrase someone said to me this week, an ex-military man said, talking about because I was asking about, Sia Khaleesi is going to be in still, and, there are young players, as you say, coming through, some incredible talent coming through, and he said, you should always fear an old soldier.
Well, and they're very good at that.
Well, because an old soldier has survived and knows things. And, and actually I do think, and this is where a lot of people are going to criticise, I think, Peter Amani's still playing, Josh van der Fleer hasn't been playing his best rugby. I think this game is a game where experience is going to be massively important. The difference is South Africa can start Sia Khaleesi, you get what they need out of him as a leader and as a player, and then 45 minutes, like in the World Cup final, he'll be off and Kwagga Smith will come on, or Marco van Staden. And that's what South Africa have got.
Someone less transparent.
Yeah, and less fat. Joke.
Do we all agree that Sia Khaleesi is too fat?
I'd have to do some skin fold tests.
Yeah, I have no idea if he's too fat. But I love the narrative, so let's stick with it.
It's certainly one of the things. It's not one of the things I've thought when I've seen him this year. So
No,
idea
I've
about
not
that.
thought
Because you're not paying his wages. But if you're
true.
paying $700K a year, you'd notice every single ounce that you put on, every single bad ounce.
Just on Sia Khaleesi, and again, I'll talk a little bit more about South Africa at some point, but just on Sia Khaleesi, just everyone I'm chatting to and what you see when you see rugby players, he has completely changed the game. It was a masterstroke from Rassie Erasmus, and I know this has been said many, many times, but there's just one little story that Rory Steyn said. So basically, football is for Black South Africans, football is like the number one and the only sport. One of the people that works at Rory Steyn's house has a son who was called Messi after Lionel Messi.
Wow.
And he was a massive football fan. This kid's like 6-7 years of age. And anyway, so Rory Steyn goes to him and says, "Oh, blah, ask him about his football." He says, "Oh, I don't play football anymore. I want to be Sia." And he's completely flipped. And then when I was at the Craven Week Schools tournament this week, it was so noticeable. Like the makeup of the teams and the talent it's potentially it's scary. It should be scary for the rest of the world because South Africa, I think, are going to get better.
Why is Sia Khaleesi the guy though? Why not Mpimpi or
Cheslin Colby?
Yeah,
or Oxnisha.
Yeah,
or Trevor Nyakane.
Or Benambi, who's my personal favourite.
Bongin Benambi, yeah.
I mean, he's like my absolute favourite at the moment.
Even though he allegedly abused a curry.
I'm going to say especially. Especially.
Nothing was proven, so...
Nothing was proven.
He's fine.
Like, if you want to get under someone's skin, you play in the game, go for it.
Yeah.
Whisper it, though.
Well, he was
do it in
made
Afrikaans.
He was made captain, and as a captain, he has been... You can't deny, as a captain, he's been awesome.
Who?
Just the way
Benambi,
he speaks.
when he was captain? Or are you talking about Khaleesi, sorry?
Khaleesi.
Okay.
Just the way he captain. I mean, you struggle with this one, don't you, JB?
No, because I have actually met Khaleesi, and he's amazing. He is.
Yeah, he is
he's got this
amazing. That's what we came away at the World Rugby Awards before he was South African captain. I know he was South African captain then. That was 2018,
Maybe
wasn't it?
He's just been made it, but I do joke that this leadership nonsense is exactly that. But here, the gravitas of the man is incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely astounding. Actually.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It doesn't actually matter who the South African captain is because they've got Etzebeth in there, they've got Mbanambi, they've got Peter Steph Toy, Andre Pollard. They've just got a Colby, amazing players everywhere. But yeah, as you say, as a figurehead, he is just immense.
I always remember the judicial report into Rassie Erasmus's 62-minute long video on the refereeing decisions of Nick Berry in the first Lions test, and Khaleesi, I think it was a KC or a QC at the time, who wrote it up, went to great lengths, multiple paragraphs to give credit to Sia Khaleesi and the way that he conducted himself and exactly what you've just been describing, which is not the same for Rassie Erasmus, who did not at any stage get a good write-up in that context.
Yeah, I imagine Sia Khaleesi's got the sort of personality he would be successful in anything. He seems to get people on side immediately. I imagine he'd be a very successful double glazing salesman, or a very successful politician, or very successful, basically anything, because he's got that very special ability of making you think you're his mate immediately, or he really likes you.
Yes. Which couldn't be said for Stephen Moore during that same evening.
Christ.
Who was not happy.
So I can list. Let's just talk about that.
Miserable.
Right? So I can list all the players that we met, and they were all incredibly charming, lots of charismatic. They had all their good stories.
Richie McCaw and Bowden Barrett that night, and Rico Ioane as well.
They were all they were a bit quiet, but they were nice. They weren't rude or anything like.
Richie was very.
Oh, actually,
charming.
Richie, we had a nice chat about. Aviation.
Helicopters.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, you're talking... No, Tim, you're wrong.
That was a different night.
No, it was a different night. That was
the year before.
That was the year before.
When we gave Bowden Barrett the EggChasers tie. And also we had Eddie Jones with us too.
Eddie Jones, yeah.
But the time that we've interviewed Khaleesi.
Khaleesi and
Khaleesi was
Stephen
the following
Moore.
year. Yeah, you're right, because Phil was there that one.
Yeah, and Duddy Weir and Angus Gardner.
But who was the number 8 who was South African for Ireland?
Oh, CJ Stander.
CJ Stander.
He was cool. He was really nice. And Ep58.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Afwi Dianti, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pre-drugs ban.
Pre-drugs man. He was a really, really special.
He was He was a
young man.
nice guy.
I really felt that. And then he gets banned. He was 19 at the time, maybe.
Yeah. He was a young man, very young man.
He's back playing now, Tim, is he not?
Yeah.
Any good?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's a good player, but South Africa have got so many good players that, yeah, he's miles off the radar.
Yes. Anyway, we went on a nice little detour down memory lane.
Back to the game itself. I actually agree with Phil. I think Ireland have got too good a pack to be smashed. Although New Zealand's pack was pretty good at Twickenham, but I think it will be a South Africa win, maybe by 10. But I think Ireland are a serious team.
Yeah, they're a serious team. I'm going to put it out there. I think that Ireland are going to lose by not 20 points, between 15 and 20, and they will get smashed. They'll get physically dominated. I mean, what do Ireland do when the second string or I say second string, the 1A and 1B front rows come on? They can't match that.
Well, Andrew Porter played like the whole match, all of the extra time in the Champions Cup final, didn't he? Because that's how much Leinster trusted Cian Healy, and he's going to be on the bench backing him up against South Africa.
Yeah, this happened before. This happened 8 months ago when Ireland won in the World Cup. Yeah,
I think Ireland get hammered. I think the Champions Cup will haunt them. I think the Six Nations will haunt them. I don't think they have that aura of invincibility they had in the World Cup. Going into that World Cup, they felt they were the best team in the world. I bet they don't. I bet they don't feel like that.
Just put it like this: which Irishman would you pick in a South African team? And I would personally go Andrew Porter, Tyg Byrne, Caelan Doris in the pack, and none of the backs.
I'd go none of the. I wouldn't pick either of those three in the pack either. I don't think they've got anyone close to the quality of Peter Steph the Toy. Don't think the front.
Caelan Doris, come on, Caelan Doris.
He's good.
I'd probably have Josh van der Fleer ahead of Khaleesi as well.
Potentially, but that's kind of so. South Africa are that good; they can choose to play someone who isn't their best seven. I really mean that. I mean, I think
there you go. I honestly, I would pick 4 Irishmen in the pack. A combined pack for me would have Andrew Porter, potentially Dan Sheehan as well.
No, absolutely.
I would have Tyg Byrne, I would have Josh van der Fleer, and I would have Caelan Doris. But the problem is the bench would be all South African, and the back line for me, I think Dialende and Jesse Creel are better man for man and collectively than Aki and Ringrose.
They're quite similar, aren't they, actually, in balance and play? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think Ireland are going to get hiding, and that's the end of that.
Other games, Argentina hosts France. France presumably without...
French kids.
Yeah, it will be French kids. And definitely no Dupont, who is now in a training camp for the Olympics when he eventually dries out from the last couple of days.
Something did happen this week, which we forgot to talk about.
Go on.
Well, the home nations players are complete losers and went out in the repertoire.
Yeah, last weekend.
Did we talk about that last weekend?
I don't think we even mentioned it.
What an absolute disaster! Not only for the 4 home nations. Is it 4 home nations that they draw from?
Yeah.
It's
Great Britain and Northern Ireland that they represent.
Do Ireland have a team there?
Ireland, did they actually qualify? They might have qualified.
I think Ireland qualified, yeah.
Did they? So let's just say 3 home nations and pot. How does that work with Irish rugby? Like they all still are, I don't know. I don't care. The point is, in the Commonwealth, the Sevens works well because the big rugby playing nation goes into 3 nations, and now it's just GB. GB out of it is absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. It's a disaster for the organisers and also for the
it's a disaster for the organisers, partly because it's done geographically, so each territory gets a certain number of spots. So there are teams from some territories that would not be in if it was just a top 12 teams in the world.
It shouldn't even be an Olympic sport. It's a joke that it is.
So Ireland are qualified. Great Britain are not qualified.
For the European qualifiers were Ireland and France.
Why don't more infant formula companies use organic, grass-fed whole milk instead of skim? Why don't more infant formula companies use the latest breast milk science? Why don't more infant formula companies run their own clinical trials? Why don't more infant formula companies use more of the proteins found in breast milk? Why don't more infant formula companies have their own factories instead of outsourcing their manufacturing? We wondered the same thing. So we made ByHeart, a better formula for formula. Learn more at byheart.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
Yeah,
I think.
Right.
Yeah, I've got the list.
And then in the Americas, it was USA and Canada and Argentina
and Uruguay.
And Uruguay. Okay, so they have 2 from North America, 2 from South America. Okay, fine.
The African teams
Asia must be... Oh, yeah, Kenya, because Kenya beat South Africa, and that's why South Africa were in the repechage.
Yeah, Kenya and South Africa are in there.
What an absolute disaster.
We then have, obviously, Australia and New Zealand. And
Japan and...
Samoa, Fiji, no Tonga.
Japan and... I don't know, is there anyone else from Asia in?
Japan. That's it.
Just Japan.
Interestingly, in the women's, you've got quite a few teams who are not represented in the men's, or 4 teams that are not represented in the men's. You've got Brazil, Canada in the women's, not in the men's.
Yep.
So Brazil, which is pretty cool, Canada, China, and Great Britain.
Be interesting to see China play.
Embarrassingly. Yeah, China would be interesting.
Yeah, I'd love to see what standard is. So, do you know what? I was just thinking, like, there was such a big clamour to get rugby in the Olympics, to put it onto a bigger stage and whatnot. And then England, Wales, and Scotland don't qualify.
I mean,
Brilliant.
Maybe you'd argue that rugby's already big enough in those countries. You want it to be in somewhere like Brazil.
Yeah, good point.
Or China.
Yeah, I'll take that as well. But still,
and Kenya's pretty cool.
Yeah, fine. I can't believe they didn't qualify. I just can't believe that it's just a joke.
I mean, it is embarrassing.
It is very embarrassing, isn't it? 3 of the biggest nations combined couldn't get into the finals.
Right, final game for next weekend that we've got to cover. New Zealand hosting England.
Is this happening, is it?
Dunedin, yes.
So, well, I'll let you lead off.
Tim, do England have a shot? And if they don't, what would you hope to see from this England team?
Yes, they have a shot. And what's actually quite good about this from both perspectives is I think it could be very evenly matched. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 1 test apiece. But even if England win 2-0, because Razor's got that honeymoon period grace and everyone's been clamouring for him and he's the great hope and everything's going to be good for New Zealand under Scott Robertson and everything was dreadful under Ian Foster, they'll stick with him and won't have an issue and will think, no worries, he's new, it's not his fault, it was Ian Foster's team, blah, 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 it's going to take time. So even if New Zealand lose 2-0 or draw 1-1, New Zealand fans are going to be fine. If England manage to win a test match, that will be a giant boost. If they win 2, it is like we're back on the map big time. So I think England can still lose this and not be a major issue, which is why I think it feels very different from the South Africa Ireland test match series.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you say. I think England will do very well to win 1. I think I would be very happy with less than 7-point loss in each game, provided they show some like positive steps forwards.
Yeah, and if New Zealand go down if Scott Robertson if you map Canterbury Crusaders onto New Zealand as Scott Robertson's philosophy, then what we're going to see, and which I think is a good thing for New Zealand and not great for England, is more steel in the pack, just nasty forwards and more creativity in the back line.
I mean, that is a pretty nice combination. I think that's what everyone hopes to get. I think England will do fine. I think Steve Borthwick's team is rounding off quite nicely from the Six Nations. They obviously can do the hard stuff, as we've seen against Ireland.
Excuse me.
Front row's an issue. How I don't know how Southern Hemisphere. I don't know who's reffing. I don't know what the impact is. I don't know how the laws are going to impact the scrum. But I am a bit worried about scrum time.
It's the Georgian referee.
He's very good.
He's very good. He's really good. He's all round very good. One thing. So, two little bits. I have watched a couple of New Zealand journalists or New Zealand broadcasts on the announcement of the team. I think you'll be surprised how quickly the New Zealand press and public can turn, because already there was the two main negatives from this squad announcement that I've seen. One we've already touched on was the Hoskins Sototu not making the squad, who equaled the record for the most tries from a forward in Super Rugby season.
Did he?
Yeah. So already people are jumping on the back of Robertson for not selecting what is seen by many to be the inform player, inform number 8. And the other one is, so they've obviously lost Retallick and Whitelock, who have been, well, they're one of the best second row combinations of all time.
Yeah.
Double World Cup winning, huge players, both physically and metaphorically and literally. He's only picked three locks as well. So he's picked Scott Barrett, Tupu Vai, and Patrick Tuipulotu. So there's not.
I like Patrick Tuipulotu.
I do. But do you know how old he is?
He's about 34.
Yeah, not that old. He's 31, but he's never. I mean, he's had very big shoes to fill. He never. I don't think he's ever quite lived up to.
The knock on him, he just isn't good enough at the hard stuff. He's very, very cool to see around the park.
Yeah,
does lots of explosive, good stuff, but he's not the hard-working, hit every ruck type.
So and I don't understand why they're complaining quite so much, because it's in New Zealand. If the tour was in England, then it would be a massive issue. But the fact that they've got Darcy Love, is it Darcy Love? So I can't remember what the guy's name is. They've got another lock who's training with them.
Yeah, exactly. They just call them up, don't they? It's not a big deal.
Yeah,
they can do whatever they want.
They have got other guys. They've got
Lord.
I've not
Josh
got
Lord.
Lord, yeah.
They've got a few other players.
They've got Ruben Love, who's a 15 or utility back.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking there's someone called Darcy, someone who's a lock. Anyway, he's a young guy.
Yeah.
But exactly, they're in New Zealand. If one of them gets injured, it's only 2 games.
They'll manage.
Chill out, lads.
But I guess my point is, I agree, chill out. But also, you can already see just with a couple of calls that a few people don't like. The press or some factions in the press will start to turn against him, and it doesn't take long. So a couple of losses, one loss, couple of bad performances, and you can see the honeymoon period being over. But I think the All Blacks will probably win 2 tests. I think they'll probably win both of them by a score. But I'm hoping for a lot of positivity from England. I think England will win at least 1 test. I do. I think
isn't there one of the grounds they've never won at or haven't won in something like 60 years, something like that. I can't remember which one it is.
Do you know when people say that? Do you kind of give that any weight? So you hear this in the NFL, like the Browns have not beaten someone else in God knows how many years, but like it's a completely different team, it's a completely different coach, it's completely different everything. Like when was the last time that England played at that ground?
Eden Park, probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago,
and before that,
5 years before that.
Yeah, so 2 games in a decade. Yeah, so
I personally don't give much thrift to that, but I could see players actually, because players do read the news, watch it, and it becomes a psychological factor on those players. You want Borthwick to steal everyone's phone.
Yeah, yeah, quite.
Phone goes in the kitty, so fine if you look at it.
Yeah, I think they should. Well, yeah. I mean, you don't want them on Tinder and whatnot, do you, in the middle of New Zealand?
That I'm okay with, actually.
What was I going to say? The other one I've heard...
Dating apps only on your phone, boys. Can't use any social media.
No social media, but dating apps only.
There you go. It could be like, exactly nurturing the next generation of parented in.
Yeah, exactly. Making sure you've got a fresh supply of
Born in New
players for the
Zealand, but
future.
England eligible. They're EQP. Go on, lads.
Was there a stat I heard the other day? Something that Australia have not won the Bledisloe Cup for, it might be since 2012. It could even be longer than that. It could be 20 years.
I think it might be 20 years, yeah.
Would that make it 2002 or something?
Well, we're in 2024 now, so 2024 minus 20, I think it's 2004.
Yeah, 2004. It might be something stupid. I didn't say 2004 because it just sounds too long ago.
It is nuts that is 20 years ago.
Frightening.
So old. We're so old.
Last time Wallabies won the Bledisloe Cup was 2002.
Ah!
There you go.
Well done, JB.
There you go. Knew I remembered something.
22.
Well, to be fair, I did say 2014 to start with, so...
22 years.
Christ almighty. Yeah.
And that was Eddie Jones, obviously.
So, I think England will win one game. You boys...
I think probably won't, but I think they
could do, but yeah.
I think 1-1 would be a result. I'd very much take that.
Definitely. I'd definitely take 1-1. I would take 2 narrow losses with lots of positives or some positivity.
If it does end up 1-1, I really want a decider though. I do miss having the 3 tests.
Why is there not 3 tests? It's something to do with the World Cup and everything being later.
I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah, probably, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you just can't play so much rugby. It's ridiculous. Excellent. Right. So, before we go then, what is Craven Week?
Good question. So, I think before I briefly explain what that is, so you understand the South Africa's carved up into different provinces.
Mm-hmm.
Western Province, the Orange Free State, KwaZulu Natal, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
all of those.
Hang on, sorry, I've got some stupid questions to ask before we can continue.
Yeah.
Each one of those states has a rugby team, right? So I always think of like Natal Sharks. Free State would be Cheetahs.
Yes.
But they used to have the Cats back in the day. Where were they? There was a long time ago, the Cats.
And the Bulldogs.
No, Bulldogs.
The Pumas.
The Bulldogs are Namibia.
Are they Namibia?
Yeah, Bulldogs are Namibia.
There was the Pumas as well, wasn't there?
Yeah.
No. Was it? No,
Yeah,
there's no
wa-
way they had there's no way you've got all of those animals in South Africa and call a team
Leopards.
Pumas.
I'm pretty sure leopards was one.
I think leopards might
From
still
somewhere.
exist. I've got a feeling. But then obviously
But
Bulls of Pretoria.
Yes. All of the provinces have teams and they play in the Currie Cup.
Right.
And traditionally, and when South Africa was ostracised from international sport, the Currie Cup was the only sport they had, and it was insanely high quality then. And there's all the rivalries. And now we've got the 5 South African teams in the URC, which are loosely based on the provinces. So
They are, aren't they? So
Western,
slight
well, they are.
differences.
Western Province is the Stormers.
Is it 5 or it's 4, isn't it?
No, it's 5 because you've got the 2 teams which were playing, and then you have the big teams which are
Lions,
Bulls, Sharks, and
Bulls,
Stormers.
Sharks and Stormers.
'Cause the
Oh yeah, Free State don't have a team.
Cheetahs aren't in it, are they? They're not.
Yeah, that's right.
4.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, so you got the Currie Cup. You've got which is based around the provinces, and those provinces at under 18 level are who compete at Craven Week. There are 16 teams that contested it. Western Province is so strong that they put 2 teams in. There's a B competition that happens at another school. So the main competition was in Krugersdorp near Johannesburg. The B competition was in Johannesburg, and there was another 19 teams there, including Namibia, including Zimbabwe, put teams in. teams from all over South Africa put under 18 teams in, which are selected from the schools within that province, and they have a team of coaches and selectors who select the players for Craven Week. There are Craven Week trials, then they put a team in, or they put
So
several
I'm still
teams
not
in.
any sort of closer to understanding this. So you've got 16 teams from 14 provinces, and they go to Craven Week, which has been held in... How do they all play?
So on day one, 8 of the teams will play in 4 matches, and on the day 2, the other 8 teams will play, and on day 3, so you basically get split into 2 halves.
Yeah.
Until the finals day.
Is it like 20-minute halves or something? If you play
No. Full matches, 35-minute halves at that age group.
Okay.
Oh, so each
matches.
Sorry, 8 teams playing 4 matches. Sorry. So each
sorry.
team plays one match.
Basically, the 16 teams are split into 8 and 8.
Yeah.
And on the Monday, Wednesday, the 8 teams play 2 games.
Yeah.
And so basically you get seeded. It's a little bit like college American football where selectors will have an impact. So I'm just looking outside and there's someone walking around with a torch. Just wondering if there's a... Anyway, so yeah, it's a bit like with the selectors where it isn't just a cup win-loss. There's an element of selection in, as in that team's really, really good.
Got you. Okay.
So we'll put them against them. So on day 1, Western Province played... Let's play the Bulls, let's say. Western Province win on the Wednesday. Western Province will play one of the other teams that won on the Monday.
Okay.
And on the Tuesday, Thursday, the other teams do the same. So on the Saturday, you have 4 matches, and it's like a waterfall system. It's kind of a bit what they do at mini rugby now.
So you
Losers,
expected to
losers
play 3
losers.
games?
3 games over the week, and it's all televised on SuperSport. They have the full pundits there. They have a full it's unreal.
So you can't actually win Craven Week as such. You can just do well in it.
Not officially. You can't officially win Craven Week. But the final game was Free State against Western Province, and Western Province won it, as they usually tend to do these days.
So is it a little bit like American football where you say selectors, you've got the 3 games, there's not a 4th game, no?
No.
So does someone select, or a team of people select, what would be basically a final or the best game to watch?
Yeah, and Free State and Western Province had won both of their games.
Oh, that sounds
prior to the Saturday.
That sounds beautifully rife for corruption. That sounds like there's going to be a lot of old boys from Free State saying, "Oh, our boys from Free State should definitely be in this game." This sounds wonderfully political.
What happens on the morning of finals day as well is the South Africa under-18 team is announced.
How cool.
Yeah. The schools rugby, though, is the bit that has got me, and I'm going to go and see one of the big schools matches in about 10 days' time. But, yeah.
Right, so Craven Week isn't schools. I didn't even realise that.
No. The players are taken from schools, but it's the Craven Week is provinces, but the schools rugby is nuts. So 20,000 people will turn up to big schools games. And that's the bit that's just completely blown my mind. I was in the airport today, flying from Johannesburg to Hoedspruit, which is up where near Kruger, and on the massive billboard as I was stood going through security was a big advert for some schools competition which runs on SuperSport on the telly, advertised on a massive screen in the airport. It's absolutely nuts. And what the conclusion I've come to from spending time here this week and going to Craven Week, chatting to people and stuff, is it's more like the NFL than anything else we know rugby wise around the world. It's just like the NFL. Think about the NFL. It's high school, college, NFL. That's how it is in South Africa. There are so many people that stop playing completely after the age of, say, 21.
Yeah. So Tim, this is other Curry Cup teams from 2023 in order to complete for the Manzani Challenge. Does that sound right? So
yeah, I think that's South Africa. That's Mzani. I think that's South Africa in one of the languages. Xhosa, maybe? Right. I don't know. Anyway, whatever it is.
So in 2016, 2017 and 2023, I am not going to pronounce this well.
Griquas will be one of them.
No, unless this is how you say. Well, I can say, Witchias from Windhoek.
So they're the Namibian team.
Yeah,
They're Namibia.
right.
Not the Bulldogs.
Hold on. Right, 2019. Who was the team? Who was name a team that came over?
Jaguares.
Oh, sorry, I'm talking Curry Cup here. Yeah, just so you know, I'm not talking Jaguares. Correct. 2022.
It's not a Kenyan team, is it?
There is a Kenyan team in 2022 called the Simbas, but there's another one. And there's also a Zimbabwe team called Zimbabwe Goshawks. There's another one that we've heard of recently. They've
It's
kind
not Tel Aviv Heat, is it?
not Tel Aviv Heat. There's some bloody good players that have come out of this club. And they've played...
Not a Spanish team.
Nope, they played a Premiership team recently, I think.
Not the Siberian team that played... did Gloucester travel there and Connacht travelled there?
Nope, not NSI.
NSI, that was the name. Or the Georgian team?
Black Lion.
Black Lion.
Black Lion played.
Black Lion.
And last one, I've never heard of these guys, and not only have I never heard of them, it seems to be that Wikipedia has not heard of them because they don't have a link through to they don't even have a created page. But the San Clemente Rhinos were there in 2023.
Who on earth are they? Where's San Clemente?
God, I don't even know where San Clemente is. It California? Sounds Californian.
San Clemente near Venice,
Spain?
near Venice Beach.
Is it?
Venice, California, yeah.
California. Yeah. Yeah, south of Los Angeles, around there. In between Los Angeles and San Diego.
Just jumping back to Craven Week, I spoke to people from Premiership rugby clubs there who were there watching.
Oh, who? Can you tell me? Or which clubs?
Well, I saw James Forrester there.
Yeah. Oh, from Gloucester.
Stade Francais were there and signed, before they left, they signed one player for the Lions, or who was playing for the Lions, and I believe they're also just signing his mate so that he's got someone to go with him, who's also very, very
so
good
this is
player.
a bit like Dan Carter and Annie Williams, yeah?
Yeah.
Or George Ford and Joe Ford.
There were so many agents there, and most of the players were already under representation. It's the standard, JB and Phil. Honestly, it's like nothing I've seen at kids that age group. The standard is astounding.
Wow. Yeah. So I was with. I wonder. Have you had any exposure to the private schools in the UK, Tim? I mean, I know you know Sebba a little bit, for instance, but have you seen them play?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I've seen them play in the big schools competition with some of the worldwide teams, and Gray's College, which is the best team in South Africa and has been for a little while now from the Free State. I think they absolutely hammered the English teams they played by like 50 points.
So I've never seen Sebba, I've never seen Millfield, I've never seen any of these teams play. I just know the players that they produce. But I was talking to a lad who used to play for Wasps and also played at Blackrock, and he was claiming that the Irish school system is by far the strongest, and they regularly come over and batter people like that. I mean, they can't all be right, because if you talk to someone in Millfield or Sebba, they will claim that they are the best.
Yeah, they would all say the same.
Yeah, they'd all say the same. Do you know when you go to university for the first time and everyone's from undefeated teams, you think someone's lying?
Yeah.
You can't all have won the Daily Mail Cup.
I imagine the big schools in Canterbury, New Zealand, for example, I imagine they're fairly handy as well.
Yeah, I reckon they've got something to say. It's interesting, isn't it? I'd love to know more about it. I'd love to know what the actual truth is, who really is supplying their kids with performance enhancing drugs and who isn't.
It's like I've heard about 15 different towns in the UK all have the most pubs per person.
Yes.
In them.
But,
I was in a place the other day that apparently sells the most brandy in South Africa.
There we go. There we go. It's like clubs. How many of the oldest rugby clubs are there? I know about 6 clubs that claim to be the oldest.
Surely only the club.
Well,
Blackheath.
Apparently. Yeah, fascinating stuff.
So can I just tell you one of the coolest things I did this week was I went to Ellis Park and I didn't ask permission, I just went, and I was allowed in. I went pitch side, and I went, right, I'm just going to walk on the pitch. And I just went and stood in the spot where Joel Stransky hit the drop goal in 1995.
Hallowed turf.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
It
So
was cool.
when are you actually going to return, or are you never returning?
15th of July.
Okay, I'm not just gonna have your mobile phone posted to me, no? Gone forever.
I'll put you down as next to kin. These hyenas might have ideas.
I have this fantasy of just one day leaving and just leaving my phone on the side, and no one knows where I've gone, and it's just, that's it. I'm done. Off to live the rest of my life somewhere else.
We'll never hear from
Do you know
again.
what you saw?
Yeah. Phone unlocked on the side.
It's safari related. There's have you ever watched Yellowstone? Or any of the prequels?
No.
I'd recommend, and I've just started watching the 1923 prequel. It's got Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren as two main characters. But that story starts. It's this real posh English woman on safari, and she meets this American tracker hunter guy, and just completely drops her fiance and the rest of her. Just ghosts everyone, disappears.
Wonderful stuff. Right, I think we're going to call it there. We're talking about Helen Mirren. I think we're done. The Helen Mirren rule of podcasting just kicked in. One last thing is we are playing North Dorset Veterans 10s and 7s this weekend. If there's anyone out there, anyone at all who wants to join us last minute, please let us know. Contact eggchasers@gmail.com. We've got a full team, but we can always do with more drinking partners, which is great. Contact us, and Major Lee will be in touch.
Can't wait.
You looking forward to playing, Phil?
Still not entirely made up my mind about playing. I'm looking forward to drinking.
I'm dreading it. I've not dreaded playing for a long time. I'm dreading because it's just sprinting. I mean, it will just turn into a series of sprints.
Shuttle runs, basically.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, it will be. It's
with a bit of wrestling in between.
The problem with it is, playing on Friday night. If it's all in one day, it's fine.
Yeah,
but the Friday followed by the Saturday is almost impossible.
The Friday playing, followed by the drinking, followed by the hangover, followed by playing again when you're stiff.
Oh God. So that's what we're doing this weekend.
Yes, can't wait.
Kill me.
Get in. Go rest up.
All right. Well, let's leave it there. Find us on wherever you want to find us. Watch YouTube. If you want to see what Tim's up to, watch YouTube. It's much easier than listening to us talk.
Ramble.
Yeah, ramble about it. And that's it. So we will catch up with you next week, and maybe there'll be a Patreon. Maybe there won't. Who knows? Okay, from me, Tim and Phil, let the boys end.
This podcast is brought to you by eHarmony, the dating app to find someone you can be yourself with. Why doesn't eHarmony allow copy and paste in first messages? Because you are unique, and your conversations should reflect that. eHarmony wants you to find someone who will get you. How are you going to know who gets you? If people send you the same generic conversation starters they message everyone else. Conversations that actually help you get to know each other. Imagine that. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up today.
Planning for your next trip? Elevate your travel style with Quince. Quince has all the jet-setting essentials you'll want for your next getaway, like European linen, premium luggage options, buttery soft Italian leather bags, and so much more. And it's all priced at 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Plus, Quince only works with factories that use safe and ethical manufacturing practices. Pack your bags with high-quality essentials you'll be wearing for vacations to come with Quince. Go to quince.com/trip for free shipping and 365-day returns.
Why don't more infant formula companies use organic, grass-fed whole milk instead of skim? Why don't more infant formula companies use the latest breast milk science? Why don't more infant formula companies run their own clinical trials? Why don't more infant formula companies use more of the proteins found in breast milk? Why don't more infant formula companies have their own factories instead of outsourcing their manufacturing? We wondered the same thing. So we made ByHeart, a better formula for formula. Learn more at byheart.com.